Hey everybody, happy March. Today is the first day of March and we're getting closer and closer to spring and closer to the start of our 2021 season. And something I wanted to talk about quickly is, as we start the season, a couple things that we are doing to kind of get back in the groove, things we're checking on, to making sure they are working properly and in working order for when we get going, because things like the heat in the greenhouse, we need working properly when we need the heat. So today I'm kind of walking around the greenhouse, checking out a few things, making sure things are running properly, things are working. The heater right in front of me just shut off in the greenhouse, which is good. So yeah, we're turning the heaters on. We're setting them to the proper temperatures we want them to turn on and off at. We're checking the temperatures inside the greenhouse to make sure the thermostats are working at least closely to what we want. We're walking around the outside of the structure, making sure there's no holes, no rips. I gotta fix a screw that actually came out on one of the end walls. And yeah, we'll probably go around. We got to do a little more cleaning up to do. We sanitized the tables the other day. And now we're probably going to do some sanitizing and cleaning of the end walls and a little bit more of the flooring. But we're pretty much ready to go, which is awesome. So, and now it is toasty in here because we have the greenhouse set for about 55 degrees. I did fire, we have two heaters, Modine heaters in these greenhouses. There's one way down there too over here. So it is quite toasty in here. And our thermostats are set about 55 degrees. But because these heaters are so big that we usually run one at a time in here. And what I do is I usually alternate every couple weeks just so each one's getting kind of equal use in them. Right here we have our thermostats. One right here is for the rear heater, so the one in the west of the greenhouse, and then we have this, we call it our front heater, the one in the east side of our greenhouse. So like I said, these work separately. This is one thing we're checking right now, is to make sure that these gauges right here are adequately put how we want them. So we're in the greenhouse doing some look over and making sure everything's kind of up to snuff for when we start in here in just under 2 days. Wednesday should be our first day of getting some trays in here, starting to fill some pots, you name it. So a couple things we're going over right now is, one, our thermostats that run the vents, which you'll see back here. There's one, those are actually the exhaust fans. And we have our dampers in the front here and here. And another thing we are looking at right here are the heaters. So we have one here and we have one right here. So the thermostats here, as you can see, south fan, north fan, and a damper. So what we have set up in our greenhouse is we have two ventilation fans. One is a single speed over there, and that one is a double speed over there. So what happens here is that these dampers in the corner here will turn on at about 70 to 72 degrees. And then when our temperature gets up to about 75, 78 maybe, one fan opens up, and usually this one. That's our single speed fan. That one runs the most. And then later, as we get into the season, we have a second fan over here, which has two speeds in it, or a double stage fan. So when the temperature in here is getting up over 80 degrees, that one's set just about a couple degrees higher than the fan over here. And what that's doing is that'll first kick on at the first speed, same as this fan. And then if it still isn't enough to exhaust the heat in here, that fan will kick on to its second speed, which will help pull air faster through the greenhouse, hopefully cooling it down. So that's one thing we're doing right now, is checking these thermostats to make sure everything is up to snuff, making sure our temperature gauges are kind of where we want them, and we're going from there. Unfortunately, the heaters just both kicked off, which means that they are working properly. And we'll probably turn them down a little bit because it is pretty toasty in here. But how these work is that there's a wire that goes from that thermostat, and it comes all the way over to the heater right here. And so this is where it's sensing temperature. It's telling the thermostat that it is below 55 degrees in here, sensing this, and it will kick this fan on. And like I said, we're running both at different times. So this one will get run for about 2 weeks, and then that one will get run for 2 weeks off and on until we really just don't need heat in here anymore. One thing you can do with these heaters, and it is sought to do, is to get them cleaned, maintained year after year. It's going to help with the efficiency of the heaters themselves. It's going to help keep them burning cleaner and less stress or need to worry about fire issues. Since these heaters are fairly new, and the technician that put them in last year really thoroughly went through them, I'm not too worried this year, but next year we will definitely be doing that. So yeah, other things we're doing in here is like this door. We're gonna clean up, you know, get the algae off it, get some of the dirt off it. You know, we're gonna start looking at the louvers, making sure these fans are running properly, greasing or oiling them if they need that, checking our floor conditions, making sure there's no holes or rips or anywhere in our floor, in the plastic on the edges. You'll see down here, especially where the snow hit, there are potential to get holes and rips from ice or from shoveling, anything like that, which might be harder to see throughout the year. One other thing I said we did is all these tables we sanitized with a Clorox bleach to help kill any bacteria that might be in the actual wood. Greenhouse benches are pretty difficult to keep sanitized, and it's recommended not to use wooden greenhouse tables just for disease purposes. Fortunately, these came with our greenhouse a couple years ago, and I just don't have the money to invest in brand new tables when we already had pre-built ones made for this greenhouse. So we're gonna do our best to keep them sanitized over the next couple of years, save a little money, and then hopefully get to building or buying nice greenhouses for the rest of the life of this. But they worked last year. We're gonna keep them clean and sanitized, and I think we'll be fine. So yeah, other things to do: check your horizontal ventilation fans. You know, make sure your water source is working over here in the corner. You know, make sure you're getting water, which our water is on, so we don't have to worry about that. You know, these are our dampers. These open at their own speed, like I said. And that's about it. We're gonna kind of clean up the rest of the junk that might have been in here through the winter. Probably sweep the general areas of the floor that are a little more dirty. And we're gonna kick off 2021, so we're excited. Keep a lookout for some pretty flowers and vegetable plants in here pretty darn soon.